From the BBC World Service, in association with ABC and Akashvani, this is Stumped.
Hello and welcome to Stumped, your intercontinental hit of news, features and debate from the quirky world of cricket. I'm Alison Mitchell in London, although I was away in Switzerland when news broke that Virat Kohli was retiring from Test cricket. It wasn't news that had people in the busy cafes on the side of Lake Geneva chattering away, but I can tell you my phone did not stop buzzing the whole time I was there.
Nice to see you, Ali and Charu. Jim Maxwell back in Sydney. I'm at my brother-in-law's place while our place is getting renovated. So living out of a suitcase for the last 6 or 7 weeks. Looking forward to getting home, but it's nice to be back on this home, the Stumped home. Very comfortable.
This is Charu Sharma for Akashvani. I'm home too in Bangalore, courtesy that little suspension of the IPL. But I'm all set to return to Dubai to finish it off on June 3, while a lot of the overseas players, not all, are ready to come back in to India.
Now, Indian cricket is set for a new era after the legendary Virat Kohli called time on his Test career after a highly influential 14 years. Kohli departs just a few weeks before the start of India's 5-Test tour of England, and his announcement came just a few days after the retirement of captain Rohit Sharma. Now, his numbers will say that he played 123 tests, scored over 9,000 test runs, including 7 double hundreds, and he retires with an average of 46.85, which is an outstanding number that dipped just a little from an extraordinary average of just over 50. But perhaps more significantly, in this era, there has been no bigger supporter of the 5-day game from someone who has so much influence over so many. It's not the last we're going to see of him in an Indian shirt, because he will still be playing one-day internationals. But, Charu, it was huge news. How did you hear it? What did you think when you heard Kohli was retiring from Tests? And are the reactions still coming in from the fans, the players and the pundits?
Well, I think the ripple is going to last a long, long time. But I was surprised for sure. And if you analyze this a bit, why do people retire? What leads them to the retirement road? I think 2 primary reasons. One, of course, a reduced physical ability, and or, of course, the possibility of non-selection. And they say, well, I think I'll just step away from the game. Kohli was under no danger from both. Still one of the fittest around. And, of course, he was a shoo-in for the Indian team. And that has led to a lot of surprise, and a lot of the fans are still perplexed. Why? And, of course, it came on the back of Rohit Sharma's retirement. So it led to a whole lot of change of guard kind of situations, which was unprecedented. It also led to a whole lot of conspiracy theories, because people said, why would he want to leave now? And, you know, he's still in the prime of his, well, he, as you mentioned, hadn't been getting quite the same number of runs. So the media is full of, and the social media is well full of a few conspiracy theories. The first one being the fact that he was pretty miffed about the fact that the BCCI, as a knee-jerk reaction to what happened at the BGT, came up with this no family rule. I think he's very much a family man now. He was not particularly pleased that a long tour without families is the way to go. The second one, of course, dealt with his Delhi and India teammate, now head coach of India. I think 2 uber-aggressive personalities not being able to perhaps get along together. And finally, of course, there is some conspiracy theories about the fact that he was offering himself as a captain, or to regain his captaincy, which I don't think was the case at all. And the board said, no, I think we're going to move on. And that miffed him. I think, you know, he's not as much miffed as perhaps just said, OK, enough. I don't want the troubles of Test match cricket dogging me anymore.
And of course, he experienced his greatest triumph, winning the Border Gavaskar Trophy in 2018-19. And I remember vividly the interview he gave afterwards on field, and thinking just how powerful his words were and how iconic the image was of Virat Kohli in whites with a trophy in hand, telling the next generation of Indian cricketers and, you know, followers and fans just how important and significant Test cricket was. And that's the sort of influence he had. And of course, when a grand player and an iconic player like Kohli, you know, departs the scene, your mind goes back to some early meetings. And the very first interaction I had with Kohli personally, and I haven't had really that many as an interviewer, I mean, he doesn't give that many interviews, but I first met him in the bar of the Malmaison Hotel in Birmingham when India were over for an ODI series in 2014. So he was sort of a relative youngster in the team at that point. Ravi Shastri was the coach, and he beckoned me over to a table in the bar where he was sitting with a number of the players saying, Alison, come and talk cricket to my boys. And Vera actually sat and told told me about the time that his father died. And it's a well-known story now, but hearing it from him himself, he was playing at Ranji Trophy match, wasn't he? He was just a teenager. News came, he was mid-innings, that his father had died, yet he resumed his innings the next day, went on to make, 90 or 95, and then drove afterwards to his father's cremation. And I think that made a huge impression about the mental strength of somebody. So that really stayed with me. And of course, he's just become, he became an absolutely compelling cricketer to watch. Enough from me. Let's hear from somebody who has been up close with Kohli as an Indian teammate. Former India opener turned IPL commentator Abhinav Mukund made his Test debut in the same match as Kohli against the West Indies in Kingston in 2011, and he joins us now. Abhinav, great to have you on. Give us your memories then of that day in Kingston and a 22-year-old Virat Kohli.
Well, thank you so much for having me on the show. I've heard all your comments and the praises, laurels about the great man. Yeah, we wouldn't think that we're 14 years now, and I think it's got to be one of the biggest memories for any cricketer playing their first Test match for the country. It's a special moment for me, but an even special moment for him. We hold our Test numbers very, very dear to our chest. But I remember being extremely nervous and sharing that nervousness with Virat at that point, who'd already played white ball cricket for India. We all understood the importance of the Test match game. We'd just come fresh off winning an ODI World Cup, and there was a lot of expectations. There are a lot of us who were very kicked about representing our country. We had very different journeys as cricketers, but Virat wanted to be the best there ever was. He wanted to be the best batter in the team. He wanted to be the best version of himself, and that drive, hunger, and passion was seen even earlier. He had been in numerous under 15, under 17, under 19 camps together, and he always wanted to be the best player. He wanted to be the best in anything that he touched, and I think it proved till the end, where he just kept trying to be the best version of himself. That's something that I remember him more than his milestones and the numbers that speak for himself.
So given that what you observed from him early on, could you almost imagine that, he was, this guy is going to have a successful career? Did he have that sort of extra application that, already just seemed to make him stand out?
Yeah, he was fast-tracked into every single tournament possible. There's this famous story of Mr. Charu Sharma picking him for the IPL, and they were part of the RCB. They were the only guys who were drafted initially. So he came in with a reputation even when he was an 18-year-old, was fast-tracked into the A squads as soon as won the World Cup, played for India a year later. 2 years later, he was handed his Test debut. So everything was seamless for Virat Kohli, because everywhere he played, he wanted to perform and he kept scoring runs at every single level. Nobody questioned his talent ever. But growing on as from a Test batter to a Test match captain, and in this era of franchise cricket and global franchise cricket, where the landscape is tilting towards players becoming freelancers, and with the idea of having a year-round franchise cricket tournament everywhere in England, in Australia, in India, to just show his passion for Test match cricket in this era I feel is his greatest achievement, because you needed someone as big to fly the flag of Test match cricket. It is a hard sport. Don't get me wrong. It's a 5-day marathon with 10 Test matches. You have to prepare differently for Test match cricket. And I think a flag bearer of that sort, who was extremely good in all formats, to say, I want to prioritize Test cricket and ensure that India do the same in the years that he was captain, it'll definitely be my opinion that he took that as his priority, and he was the flag bearer for it.
In his statement that he put out on social media, he doesn't sort of necessarily say why he's chosen to call it a day now. I mean, he alludes to everything you say there, Abhinav, about, the format not being easy. He's given it everything, the quiet grind, the long days, but, the small moments that no one else sees that stays with you. I mean, his numbers have dropped off in recent years, as we alluded to. But, the Indian authorities, the BCCI, apparently wanted him to be part of the series against England. So why do you think he has chosen to step away now?
I know it's not about the numbers. I feel he wanted to play another series for sure, because it does not make sense, the timing of the retirement, because as soon as the Border Gavaskar Trophy finished, the Indian players were asked to play domestic cricket, and he ended up playing a game for Delhi in the Ranji Trophy. So then you knew, okay, this man's going to go on playing Test match cricket. And right now, I think one of his coaches in Delhi, a former India cricketer himself, Mr. Sarandeep Singh, also told us that he wanted to play those A games leading up to the India-England series. So I don't want to speculate about the reasons why he has retired. Maybe he's just had enough. The one line that stood out for me from that post, though, it felt like he said, the timing is right. It feels right at this point. So maybe it was a rush of the blood, heat of the moment sort of decision, but we cannot speculate beyond that because it felt like he wanted to play for longer, but there are certain events that happened that led to the premature retirement of Virat Kohli.
Abhinav, I mean, India have had this thread, haven't they, from, Sachin Tendulkar, MS Dhoni, Virat Kohli. When this latest superstar, has now departed the Test arena, of course, still in ODIs for now, but who's the player that, is going to be the next superstar for the nation to embrace and elevate to that sort of status?
It's a very tough question to answer. I know there are a lot of successors at the moment as we speak, but somehow I fear with the changing landscape, we're not going to have one global superstar like we've had. We're going to have few. We're going to have mixed captaincy. We're going to have spurts of people coming up and performing in one particular format. I think that's how it's going to turn out over the next decade or so, if I may say, because it's very difficult to play all three formats as a modern day batter or a bowler, very few. There's already one superstar player that we have currently who I think is the best in the world, Jasprit Bumrah. But if you're going to ask me specifically a batter, then I know Shubman Gill's touted to be the next captain. He's in talks to be the next captain. You've got young Yashasvi Jaiswal, who's played really well across formats. But then again, I think it's going to be one guy in one particular format where, like, for example, Surya Kumar Yadav in the T20 form. So you're going to have a split of players coming up as superstars. You're not going to find one person who can ace all three formats over the next decade. And that's not only from India. I think it's going to be the same across countries as well.
Abhinav, it's Jim Maxwell in Sydney. Just looking at the state of the Indian game, Kohli and Sharma have gone in the space of a week. Before them, Ravi Ashwin at the end of last year against Australia, who won the Border Gavaskar Trophy. And during the series, did this current Indian team look and feel like it was coming to the end of its time?
It did feel like, because you knew the 10 test matches, 5 in England and 5 in Australia, have always traditionally been sort of the end game for multiple cricketers if you look at it. 2011 was the case where you had a few retirements coming through. 2014, again, it was the same case. So these are very tough tours, and sometimes you'd want to have a reset, a shift in what the team actually looks like. But Ravi Ashwin's retirement also felt a little bit premature for me when it happened in Australia. Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli now currently retired from the Test match format, which leaves the two senior pros in Ravindra Jadeja and Jasprit Bumrah. It's going to be an inexperienced side that is going to travel to England, and a lot of these hopes will be placed on young Jaiswal, KL Rahul. But yeah, this is a tough rebuilding phase for whoever the captain is going to be named, and for Gautam Gambhir as well, because there's been a change in the support staff. There's going to be a change in captain. It's going to be a very tough phase for India as a test side. But you would expect that, yeah, these retirements would come. Ashwin was much older than Kohli. He was 2-3 years older. Rohit Sharma, again, a year or so older than Virat. Virat's was a little bit unexpected at the moment. I thought he would tour England. But yeah, I think India has to buck up and find replacements. We've got enough talents, but just the experience of playing in England is going to be paramount for these young players.
We've spoken, Abhinav, about Kohli's influence on the popularity of the Test game, the way it was played. What are your feelings about the future of the Test game in India now, without some of these, huge names at the forefront of it? There's one thing about, sort of Team India, but the very format of Test cricket, needing these iconic players.
Look, I've said this out loud multiple times. I think it's a format that requires an extreme level of skill, but are the young players willing to prioritize it given the incentive? It's a hard sport. You ask all the legends. I know some of the younger cricketers now are saying T20 cricket is really hard, but I've asked Kane Williamson, I've asked AB de Villiers. It's a debate that will be ongoing for the next 4 or 5 years. But to just maintain the health of it, it's important that younger cricketers ensure that they play the longer format of the game because it teaches you a lot. Over the course of 4 or 5 days, you learn so much about your own game, the development of it. There are multiple examples with younger cricketers as well who've gone back to play first-class cricket and come back as better players in the IPL or the 100 or the BBL. So that's exactly my point. You can't just prioritize white ball cricket alone. Test match cricket has its place. I'm not too sure about the ODI game, but it's good that Rohit Sharma and Kohli are still playing the ODIs. But Test match cricket is here to stay because people will enjoy the real battle of Test match cricket. And I'm really hoping that young cricketers and BCCI will really incentivize those who decide to prioritize that format year on year. And we have a very strong Test match team for the years to come.
So who will be the next Test captain? Are they going to go back to Bumrah?
So the news that's coming out here is all of these are unconfirmed reports, is that Shubman Gill is the favorite to be the captain, with Rishabh Pant being his deputy. But I'm pretty surprised that Bumrah hasn't been one of the front runners as well. It could possibly be because of the fact that he has a little bit of issues with injury. But then again, you've got a few captains you've got Pat Cummins as captain, and he's been fine as Test match captain, so why not?
Abhinav, it has been great to have you on and to have your thoughts in on Kohli and the wider Test game as well. Great pleasure to have you. Thanks for being with us on Stumped.
Thank you so much for your company, guys. Thank you so much.
Well, that's all we've got time for on this week's Stumped on Akashvani. My thanks to Charu Sharma, to Jim Maxwell, to Abhinav Mukund, and to all of you for listening. We'll see you again next week. Until then, bye-bye.
Stumped is a BBC sport production for the BBC World Service in association with ABC and Akashvani.